So we've kind of gone through some basics. I want to go through some casts now and talk a little bit about sides of the river and what casts you would use. There's a bunch of different spey casts. They have, you know, the wombat cast and perry poke and all these casts. But I feel that there are 4 basic casts that you should know. 2 aerialized anchor casts and 2 sustained anchor casts from each, or excuse me, 1 sustained anchor cast and 1 aerialized anchor cast from each side, and 1 cast either off your shoulder or learn to cast with your opposite hand. So from river left, okay, river left for me right now, the river's going, I'm facing you guys, the river's going to my left. So if we were on the other bank fishing, that would be considered river left. This is considered river right, where I'm fishing this way. The current's moving to my right. So for river left, as a right-handed caster, you have, there's 2 casts you can choose. There's a single spey and there's a snap tee. Okay, and then there's a double spey off your opposite, there's 3 casts, and then there's a double spey off your left shoulder. Forget about the other casts for now. Those are, if you can understand those basic casts, you can fish in any wind situation with any fly, any sink tip, anything. So the first one I'm going to go through is called a single spey. And what a single spey is, it's a switch cast that I've been doing like this, only with a change of direction. So now, notice you guys, I didn't really get into anchor position. If you notice, my anchor's been hitting here when I'm doing these casts, the tip of the line. Now that I'm going to cast this way, I need my anchor here. Okay, I always need my anchor off my casting side. If I'm going to cast with my right hand, I need my anchor off my right side. So a good way to look at it is that's my target, there's 90 degrees, I want to go 45 degrees, about where my rod tip can touch the water. Maybe a little bit further than that, but in that area. So for a single spey, what I'm doing is I'm doing that switch cast, I'm doing the lift, I'm changing direction. So I have to sweep around more. Do you see where my anchor landed right here? That was a good anchor placement for a single spey. We do that again. So lift, come around. Okay, there's my anchor. That's a good anchor to cast this way. I always need to have my anchor outside my line of aim. My rod, when I came forward, if I were to come forward there, my anchor was there, my rod's coming through here. So my rod is going between my anchor and my body. So where am I stopping? 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4:30, right? That's where I'm going to stop in order to cast this way. And it's going to be a short level acceleration. I'm going to lift, I'm going to turn, short level acceleration, anchor. You can see the D-loop was lined up this way. Lift, sweep, touch, and go. It's very important that when you do this, that the rod tip, again, has to come down. It's got to come down. And it's got to come back up to get the anchor into the right position. Now watch, if I don't do my lift back here, watch what happens. You see how my anchor landed in front of me? By lifting the rod, it allows the line to go further back. It allows the anchor to come into the right position. So that lift is very important. Now watch this. We talked about if I keep my rod high, right? You see my anchor goes too far back on my switch cast? Well, the single spey is the same thing. If I lift like this and I keep the rod at that height, my anchor goes flying out. I don't get an anchor. So it's very important that you lift, you come down with an acceleration. If I don't accelerate, watch this. Okay, if I lift but I come down, but I don't accelerate, I leave the anchor down here. So that leads me to something that I kind of skipped, and that is reading your anchor. Okay, right now if I do a switch cast, my anchor is supposed to be here. So tell me what I did wrong. Somebody tell me what I just did wrong. I didn't bring the rod down, right? So I didn't bring the rod down, my anchor went too far back. So if you look, if you're casting and you're trying to do a switch cast and your anchor's not landing there, it's going too far back, either you're going with too much power, you're accelerating too hard, or your rod is tracking too high. And this is a really good thing to understand so you can diagnose yourself what you're doing. If I go too soft, if I don't accelerate, my anchor is too far down. So if you're casting and your anchor is consistently below where it's supposed to be, you're not accelerating. You have some sort of a lack of acceleration. Maybe you're starting too quick and ending too soft. You have to make sure that if you just continually flow back, your anchor will come into the right spot. So my point here is understand how to read your anchor. A low anchor is going to signify that you're not accelerating most of the time. Sometimes it's very uncommon because most people don't track the rod too low. Most people have a problem of tracking the rod too high. But a low anchor is either going to be no acceleration or the rod's tracking too low. An anchor that's too far back is going to be too much acceleration or the rod's tracking simply too high. Okay, and I'll demonstrate again. This would be a good acceleration, but just too low. I'm so low that I can't get the anchor back. Here would be a good one again. Anchor's in the right spot. This would be too high. Anchor flies out. This is another one. If you come back and you accelerate upward like this, the anchor hits, but you see how it kind of skipped? So if you see a skipping anchor, like your anchor's kind of touching and then coming out of the water as you stroke forward, that usually means that you're going like this. You always have to finish your acceleration level before you lift. Do not put the lift into the acceleration. In other words, do not do this. That's going to make your anchor fly out. You can see it touched the water, but it skipped out of the water. A good anchor should stay right there as I stroke forward. That's what you want to see right there. A good anchor lays in the water. It stays there while I stroke forward. The anchor should not come out of the water until the line's uncoiling out in front.